welcome back to the channel. You were listening to Ninja Knight. This is Chatterbox number 8. 8 shows of this now, I have to say. Absolutely loving it so far. Just make sure everyone can hear me in the chat as well too. Will you just hit a 1? Because as you can see here with the icon isn't doing what I wanted to do yet again. So just hit a 1 in the chat. Gonzo Productions Inc. we have here, as you know. Alright, I can see this thing starting to move now. Must have been just slow off the mark. And as I'm just talking about that there, I can see a couple of people there dropping in and dropping out. So it went from 10 down to 4, and now it's back to 12 in. So Jerry Son and Mick hits a 1 there. Nice one for that. As I said before, you're not going to get a well-oiled machine when it comes to this channel. This isn't the lamestream media. I do not have multi-millions that are behind me. I'm just some guy that's putting out opinions, thoughts, and indeed, in my opinion, the truth. Now, what happens when you put out the truth is, as we've seen, and as I will be doing a video on, because as Eric D. July likes to say, you might as well monetize your haters. And I got one individual earlier on. By the way, I just want to say this. Big shout out to Dave Cullen, because he was the first person that notified me. And then it made sense after he notified me. So I did recently a video on the Black Adam concept art and Bounding into Comics. Big shout out to them. They did an article I'll be showing you this evening, and they featured my video and indeed the comments that I had made about the woke casting that they made with the decision that they made with Hawkman and Cyclone in the movie. So I was curious then, because here's the thing, by the way, if Bound into Comics are out there and they're listening, you might as well hear this one. You clearly have a number of left-wing nutters that are out there that are deciding to follow your website and then attack anyone that they disagree with. I think that's absolutely brilliant. And in my view, it's just giving me more views and comments and likes and subscriptions, and that's happy days. But I'll be doing a follow-up video anyway, because there was one person in particular with 68,000 followers this individual has, and was talking about this channel not being successful. Now, this channel, especially with that video that I made, has more views than her recent videos. And you know where her views all came from and stem from? They stem from the Johnny Depp trial. So this person was cutting up material and just reposting it and getting loads of views from that. Very interesting to say the very least. So we are seeing an inflation of subscribers. Now, we don't mind that, because when it comes to these type of things, you do what you do, that's happy days. But what's interesting to note, just because when you're talking about the differences of channels, is that I put up a video not too long ago of the Johnny Depp trial. And again, it was of Dr. Spiegel, I think his name was. Looked like one of the dudes from the Muppets. This fellow was absolutely off the Richter. And he was someone that was being used as an expert, in quotes, to assess Johnny Depp's mental health. And he used the Pirates of the Caribbean movies to assess Johnny Depp's mental health. Now, that video got 94,000 views, but there was no subscriptions added to the channel. Now, to me, that's very strange, because when you have 94,000 views, the idea would be that people would come back. And what happens is, these platforms like this one, they decide to stunt that. So as I said not too long ago, this channel was creeping up past the 2,800 mark. It's now creeping up to the 2,900 mark, and hopefully it will close in on 3,000 very soon. But it's just another indication as to what's really happening on this platform. You've talked about it before. I've talked about it with, for example, another channel that's here, that's based in Ireland, that's brought people on that we will see now have been proved to be wrong, scientifically, medically, and yet they still wheel them out. And this channel is upwards of 50,000 subscribers, and they are getting less views on average than I am. How is that possible? It's possible because these people are being pushed, and that's absolutely no problem. I don't mind. I love Rocky Balboa, and I don't mind being Rocky Balboa. I do not mind you being Apollo Creed, because we are going to have a very good knock. And I'm telling you now, when the second knock is on and we're into that second knock, we're going to win. And I have no doubt about that. And as I said, and I've always said beforehand and will say in the future, God is on our side. God has decided to choose us to be his people, to give the message and let the message be known. And that's what you can't be afraid of. You can't be afraid of some of these morons, which they are, coming in and going, oh, you shouldn't be talking about Hawkman like that. No, we'll talk about him whatever way I want, because I'm a fan of the character, you're a blow-in, and you certainly have no respect for the character, nor have you got the intelligence then to realise that when I talk about swapping Hawkman, I'm saying, hey, I wouldn't like to see Blade, Jon Stewart, or Cyborg be swapped. But guess what? That's the route people like me are starting to go down now, where I'm going, okay, all right, I'll take Brad Pitt as Blade. Let's do it. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's jump into the chat now in a sec. But again, big shout out to Dave Cullen for notifying me about that, and big shout out to Bound into Comics. Very helpful and very much so appreciated when they are doing an article. I mean, someone going through the time and indeed the effort to put what I'm saying into an article and to quote and all, amazing stuff, and very much so appreciated with that. That's the type of stuff that I appreciate, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate everybody that's here in the chat. I appreciate everyone that views. I appreciate everyone that comments. And like I said, every week I'm going to do it now because I need to do it. And I feel like I need to do it. A big shout out to the mods in the chat, because these people that are there are doing it off their own back, off their own time, and they're listening to this gonzo production whilst also doing a stellar job for the channel, because they know that if I'm off track doing something else, that I can't notify or get involved with something that's going on in the chat, and they're looking after it. So massive appreciation and thanks towards all of the mods. Very much so appreciate it. And I'm sure Derek McMahon will be straight in there like he always is, Starman, saying if you have a comment or anything like that, make sure you at Ninja Knight, and I'll get to it then later on, because as I keep saying, last week's chat as well too had upwards of 2,000 messages. As I see him there in the chat, we'll talk about him now in a second. He has a wonderful video that's just had to coming out there, Satirical Soldier. Make sure you check that out. Oodles of Data. And make sure you share that video on to as many people as you know. The Satirical Soldier video. If Satirical Soldier can put that video into the chat, or maybe someone else might be able to put it in so other people can view it. It's on his channel. I'll show you him there. He's right here. We'll show him up on the screen. That's his channel there, guys. Make sure you go over there and you share that video, because what Satirical Soldier is doing now, and I absolutely love it, is he is using cartoon work now to demonstrate what's been going on for the last couple of years. And indeed, it's wonderful stuff with wonderful humor and typical Irish humor. So a big shout out to him. Blue Grime One's in here, says evening. Blue Grime One says evening again. Good stuff. Good to see that. And Monaghan says evening all. Satirical Soldier says good evening, friends. And by the way, as well, too, I always forget to say, I always do what I do. There's links in the description below to support the channel, various different social media platforms that I'm on. Much appreciated. Amon says evening, Mike. Says how you on? Hazy Brain 7 says good evening all. Looking forward to another Chatterbox and Ninjas inimitable delivery. Thanks very much. Alan Farrell says good evening, Ninja. Kevin McMahon says waiting on a week, buzz. Good to see you here. Kevin McMahon says fair play to the Green, stopping the cribs. Now let's support them outside the place of SCR protesting the cruelty of Hala. I'm not quite sure what that one's about now, but we'll get into it anyway. Herbert Ryan says good evening, Ninja, and chat. Kevin McMahon says 5x5. Leon Cordes says good evening, Ninja, and all. Hope everyone is well. Jerry Son Mix says some guy for one guy. Derek McMahon says greetings all. Hope everyone is well. Everyone's in the room. Kevin McMahon says they're seeing Black Adam and I just couldn't understand it. I've actually heard about it, and I'm going to do a follow-up video rather than spoiling it for anybody here. But there's a specific decision that's made in the film, and it's very clear to see it's very woke. And what I don't want to give the spoiler here, but I'm going to do a video on it. But it regards Dr. Fate and what they do with him. And yeah, so anyway, I won't talk about it here just in case anybody's interested in going to see the movie. Like I said before, you do with your money what you will. I wouldn't support the movie. I'm not going to support the movie, and that's just my choice, because I seen that The Rock supported John Kamala. I seen that he's been supporting Gavin Newsom and the various things that were going on in California. I've seen as well too that Viola Davis has been calling people istophobes as they didn't want to go and see The Woman King, which now has inadvertently tumbleweeded its way through the box office. And you've also then seen them people, which is becoming more prevalent now, by the way, that want to harken back to history when it comes to ancient Egypt. They have absolutely no clue. It's actually staggering. I had some moron in the chat there earlier on in terms of the video of it that was talking about how you didn't have a problem with Arnold Vosloo playing the mummy Imhotep in The Mummy. Yeah, Arnold Vosloo is actually African, so that's a self-owned there that I can't even describe. Epic proportions of stupidity that you've just shown. But anyway, these are the type of people that are out there that are like, no, they actually didn't look like that. They look like Michael Jordan and Shaq. Well, are you telling me that the recreations that actual scientists have done over the last number of years, indeed decades, and they have done the 3D imagery as well of the pharaohs and the mummies. Are you telling me that they're all wrong and you're right because you've decided that? How many civilizations did you run, guys, and end up losing? Like, what's the story? I mean, is that the way you want to go with it? And in fairness as well, too, I'm always getting her name wrong. Lupita Nyong'o or something like that in Wago, is it? Woman that's in Black Panther, she plays Nakia. She recently came out and was like, I wasn't taking part in the Woman King because that's glorifying traders. And I was like, I like what she's saying. I very much so do. By the way, Letitia Wright as well too, that starred in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She's on our side of the fence, guys, which is great to see. So big support to her, and I hope she does well in the opening weekend for Black Panther. I think that's in November 21st, as far as I know. So I'd like to see her do well. It's the one change that's been made to mainstay comics that I'm like, yeah, I'm behind that now because she's sound. She's actually someone I'd like to meet because I'm like, she's definitely sound. So Derek McMahon says, remember, folks, if you want to make a point, use at Ninja in the chat. Much appreciated on that one as well, too. Very much so appreciated. Emmanuel Godson's in here to say, fellas, good to see you here. Hoax says, evening all. Niall O'Hara as well, lads. What's the stories? Derek McMahon says, folks, I'm in Coleraine setting up a fireworks display for a community group, so I'll be bouncing in now the chat this evening. Good to hear. Good to hear that now. You enjoy yourself. By the way, we won't endorse any fireworks or anything like that or any negative activity. They're all right, guys. So anyway, Granny Kelly's in here. Says evening. Big smiley face. Good to see you here. Noms is in. Bordova 1014 to turn on Ma. Good to see you here. Mad isn't Mount Herman 33 East. Okay, so Jerry Sonamick is in there chatting. By the way, Enoch Burke over 40 days now in jail. And the criminals that are running around the place, no jail for them. It's baffling, isn't it? So anyway, if you're new to this show or if you're new to these live streams, I dip in and out of talking about what's happening in the real world, happening here in Ireland, and obviously then talking about a little bit what's going on in entertainment. And mostly the live streams focus on what's happening here in Ireland because it just gets information out there to people and let them know what's going on. I try to keep the stuff to do with the entertainment more so directed towards the videos and stuff like that because I know people might be interested in it or might not be interested in it. And I like to weave entertainment in throughout the streams anyway to say to people, turn into Sean Connery there, say to people like, look what's going on, look what entertainment is doing, look what it's presenting and how people are digesting it. And it's, again, it's as simple as this. It's like the Hawkman thing. Like, they've decided to change a character. Do you think that if they decided to go through the reincarnation route that they're going to have the original version of Prince Khufu not look like Aldous Hodge? Do you know what I mean? They're hardly going to cast Alexander Skarsgård, which is what they should have done, and hardly put him there then and be like, yeah, it's all good. So anyway, let's keep going. I'll show you what's going on here in the world. Now, a very astute observation I did make, if I say so myself, I know that sounds narcissistic, but I made an observation there in the last week, and it all started with this Rishi Sunak character. Now, we'll have a look at what's going on in the UK, because what happens in the UK inevitably affects us, but the difference between us and the UK is the UK actually hold these people accountable. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the fact of, say, for example, the Liz Truss stuff, and they went for a debate. She didn't do very well in the debate. She then ended up winning the leadership, done a very bad job as leader, and now Rishi has come into the scene, and they're like, oh, clean up the mess. Textbook ideology of, hey, a mess has been made by this person. Liz Truss are telling you has to have a good holiday away to recuperate. This is a woman that has thrown Britain, allegedly, from what I understand, into a recession. And now this guy is in as the janitor to mop it all up. So what's happening there? Bad PR for her. She cares not. She's been Prime Minister of the, of the UK. And now you've got this guy in that looks like good PR to say, hey guys, I'm here to clean it up. But that's not what's happened. What's happened is people have focused on what he said 10 days ago, which was, I'm not going to ban fracking. And now he's like, no, I'm totally banning it. So the Brits are already done. They're already, hang on, you tell lies, they're open lies. But what I noticed, and I think you probably noticed it as well too, there's people that are involved now in world governments that are known for telling lies, open lies, and getting involved in specific things. And we focus on Varadkar here because he is a fella that, shall we say, allegedly, he's dubbed, well, I mean, I can say specifically and factually and accurately, he has been dubbed on Twitter as Leo the Leak. So this fella allegedly provided documents, and it was supposed to be something that was behind the Official Secrets Act, but apparently, allegedly, the Official Secrets Act was broken. Now, that is very similar to what happened in the UK with this woman here, Suella Braverman. Now, you know what I'm going to say, and you're going to say it as well too when you see the next two images also. This woman is also allegedly, and I think more so than allegedly, I think they caught this woman. They actually caught her sending an email, I think it was, of similar enough type of stuff there where there was leaking of contracts, allegedly, to specific people for the benefit of certain other individuals. But what had happened was this woman was relieved of her duties last week, and now she's been brought back in. In the world that we live in now, because why not? Shall we point out the obvious, guys? Look at this woman, okay? Now, you look at this fella and the origin from which he comes, specifically his dad. You then look at Rishi Sunak, who is also of a similar origin, considering his parents. And then you finally look at what is second in command in America. Now, why is this pertinent and why am I talking about this? The reason why I'm talking about this is because in India, and it was talked about, I talked about this with the Owlboy, he was talking about a system that is involved with Sunak, and it's a biometric system that you cannot function basically in society unless you're signed up and involved in the biometric system. He's a billionaire. The wife is a billionaire. I think is it the Prime Minister's on about £170,000 a year. He doesn't need that money, and he's not in there for the benefit of anybody. This guy is a billionaire, will never have to worry about another day in his life. So what is he doing there is the first thing. The second thing is his father-in-law is involved allegedly in very shady things. And the third thing is this. India, as you know, focuses itself and indeed has implemented division and segregation in its own country in the form of a caste system. Now, what is a caste system, you might ask? A caste system is if you have a specific surname, you won't go anywhere in life because they designate at one stage, you're basically nothing to do with us here and you're out the slums. Slumdog Millionaire is about that. And that's why that's a brilliant movie. And if you haven't seen it, have a look at it. And it gives you a little glimpse into what happens over there. But the caste system is something that these individuals like and they involve themselves in. Now, this is also very much so important to know that people, as they want to keep going with, they want to keep pointing things out. It's no problem. What do these four people have in common? Other than, ancestry. It's that they'll all lie and lie blatantly and lie repeatedly and lie without any sort of conscience constantly. So when you look at that and you start to look at these things that are happening across the world, and of course as well too, this one, and this one are involved with the forum, it starts to become a little bit more apparent as to what's happening. Now, in my opinion, that is a pattern that is forming, and it is forming in the interests of the forum, because the three people here, just to be put, I mean, might as well say four, are not representative of the majority of the population of the country. And I say this like this: if I decided to move to India and I had a child or whatever like that with another person that was white, and then they were saying that they're Indian and that they are going to run the country, how do you think that that's going to go down in India? I don't think it's going to go down too well. And I also would say the same as well if I move to China or Japan or any other country around the world. They'd go, hang on here for a sec. This fella hasn't got a clue about the customs or the culture or the history or the traditions. So isn't it curious that these places that are the most Western in society, these are the individuals that are leading them? Very interesting. Now, that's all I had to say about that one, because I'm recognizing a pattern. And if it happens again in another mainstay, and this is why she is where she is. This is the mainstay. She is where she is because they thought with what was going on with our man, he's nodding off on interviews and telling you things are over, and then telling you 2 weeks later, no, they're actually not. He's telling you then. I tell you, what's happening in America is very much so a joy to watch, because there has to be people over there that are absolutely fuming. But the only thing is that they're protected by the states that they live in. So if you're in Florida or Texas, you're not too bad. But if you're these Democrat places, like, you're not enjoying life at all. But anyway, that's the pattern I've noticed there. I've also noticed another pattern as well too. And now again, I'm just saying, This is something that I'm realizing and recognizing. This is a woman here at Twitter who has just met Elon Musk, who has now gone to buy Twitter and is actually going to take full control of it. And this is the face that she was shown towards her new owner. Now, this is the woman who banned Teflon Don from Twitter. This is the woman who banned Donald Trump from Twitter. Again, now who else is as well is involved in Twitter and is mad for the old censorship, who is also someone that's, from what I understand, also going to be moved out, is your man Prahag, that's at Twitter as well. Elon Musk has been publicly debating with him on Twitter as well, and the guy keeps going running. Again, seems to be from ancestral plains of a certain country. So there's a constant thing going on here from what I can see. I'm just making an observation here. That's all I'm doing. I'm making observations, and that's all we can do. I'm going to show you this here as well, and it just goes to show you the clown world of what's happening here in Ireland. Now, I'm going to do a video on this one, and to me, this says it all. What you have here is Leo Varadkar, who is allegedly, from what we understand, a doctor, and allegedly has been a GP. Now, this is a guy that said he would charge out onto the front lines to deal with the woohoo flu, but never did, from what we understand. Now, he did a couple of little press videos as well, and press opportunities where people came in to the room and took pictures of him on the phone. You know yourself. Anyway, minimum unit pricing for alcohol will save lives. No, it won't. It'll just put more money into the government coffers. That won't save lives at all, because the person who's the alcoholic is just going to keep going for it anyway. And when you're talking about what people like to enjoy, there's very little in life that people enjoy. There's a number of things that people enjoy. They enjoy things to do with this. They enjoy things to do with sugar. And they enjoy things to do with entertainment. When you decide to mess with those, and you've now messed with all three, you're going to annoy people to no extent. And there'll come a point in time where they'll go, no thanks. And then you're going to have a problem on your hands, because people enjoy alcohol and people enjoy sugar, and the entertainment industry, they used to enjoy. They're now starting to wean off it, and they're starting to go, right, you're annoying me now. And a pint of beer now costing nearly €6-7. And you've got shams like Dublin Live going out there going, guys, we actually went out, no problem, and we spent like a tenner for a pint and like, Temple Bar. What? And like, it wouldn't be too bad if we like, spent €10 for a pint anywhere else. It was, because I don't want to be spending that. Do you not remember that place called Odysee's in town? They used to do points for €2. Now, there'd be some people in the chat that'd be like, Ninja, when you were getting a point of cars, it wasn't cars, it was like Erdinger. Listen, it was €2. A good night was had. So anyway, Varadkar says that a minimum unit pricing for alcohol would save lives. Of course, that's not backed up by anything at all. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar said the Irish government will press Stormont to introduce similar controls in Northern Ireland. So this fella is now poking his nose into the business of what's happening in Northern Ireland. And why is he doing that? Well, he's doing that because what's happening is people, well, I won't say what's happening is, allegedly, speculatively, people are going up north and buying the drink up there because it's cheaper. And they're actually doing deals on it, because Great Britain is enormous. And what they've decided to do was, well, if we do deals on the drink lads, we're going to sell more of it, and then that's going to create more money for us. Whereas now in Ireland, if you're looking at a bag of cans and are 25 quid, you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to pay 25 quid for a bag of cans. Like, not interested in that. You know what I mean? And I can't tell you the amount of times I've walked up and down the drink so I've been like, nah, I can't justify that. I'm not paying that. And that peeves me. But I feel I'm not paying that. So allegedly, speculatively, there's people that are not gone to the north, allegedly, speculatively, and my drink is allegedly, speculatively acquired from there. So this is why they have an issue with that there. And it's total codswallop, not backed by any science whatsoever. And here you have this now, which is the humdinger of all. I don't see why the nightlife like that we offer people in Ireland shouldn't be as good as anywhere in the world. But you're charging people through the nose for the gargle. What do you think people are going to do? They're going to stay up till 6 o'clock in the morning paying €10 a pint. This is the type of stuff that's been wheeled out, by the way, by all these lamestream outlets. It'd be €10 for a pint very soon. Listen, I'm not interested in that anymore. And what you've decided to do over the last few years was you've decided to encourage people to be at home, which was to your detriment, because I went and looked and said the pub wanted to discriminate against me. That's grand. I won't be going back. And I'm more than happy to go to my house or someone else's gaff or a friend's gaff, family's gaff, and have a few bevies there, And that's my view. And that's the view that I'm taking going forward, because I am disinterested in doing that. So now what's happening is this is a way to try and offer a bit of a sweet deal towards the pubs and the nightclubs who have been shut because they've decided to bend over and take it from these people for the last number of years. And now, on a whim, which they could have done beforehand, which is also the thing to note, they could have done this beforehand when the nightclub trade were telling them, hey, listen, you need to open to all hours. Like, this is a big city. People want to stay out. They're flying across to Amsterdam. The money's actually going out of the country and it's going to the likes of Amsterdam, Turkey, and stuff like that, where places are open all through the night, Spain, wherever it might be. Like, you're losing money hand over fist here. And these dibwits that are in government decided to go, no, we want to raise the price of drink and also we want to curtail the amount of time that you can spend in these places. So what, you want the people to pour out onto the street at 2 o'clock in the morning? That's a wise idea because there's people pouring out onto the street at the same time from every which way, rather than just leaving of their own accord and whenever they do, which would actually create less hassle for the Gardaí, ultimately, and less problems then security-wise for various different venues that are in and around, specifically around town and other places. It would also then encourage taxis and buses and all of these things to earn more money because if people left at different times, it means these things aren't jammed, they're not packed, and people aren't deciding, you know, I'm going to walk home, or I'm going to just not take anything, and I'm just going to stay where I am. So this is the clown world that you live in here, that these people say one thing, telling you, oh, it's going to save lives, but let's open the clubs longer because we should have a great nightlife. This is the dimwittery that you were faced with here. And this is a man as well, too, that an awful lot of people would say was allegedly elected to the position that he's in. This fella came, what was it, 13th? Was it the 13th count? Was it 7th count, was it? That this fella got past the post then. Another thing that needs to be changed very much so here in this country. Now, it favours these individuals massively because with these vote transfers and all like that, specifically, I think it's something like 25,000 to run a candidate here in this country, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. What I heard recently is 25,000. And sure, if you're a startup or anything like that, that's going to be fairly difficult to do. So this is what they're doing. And this is how they keep themselves where they are. And of course, as well, too, if there was to be any viable challenger, there would be changes to the rules to suit these people because these people really do understand that changes and challengers are going to come. I was talking to someone during the week who was a massive Sinn Féin supporter, and I was talking to this individual, very huge into them, and had said they've got one chance, Sinn Féin, to get it right. They'll probably be left with little or nothing when it comes to the time when they get their chance. But if they don't do well, what will end up happening here is there'll be a Nigel Farage party here in this country. And I said, well, that's interesting. And this person said, well, I'd be voting for them because I can see the way things are going. This person is very much so willing to give Sinn Féin a chance, but also is 1 foot out the door, which is the most important thing. And that's what I keep saying. If a credible party comes through, and indeed that's why I keep saying it, Philip Dwyer, Satirical Soldier, Dave Cullen, Gran Torino, Irish Git, Irish Inquiry, all of these people, these are people that could win in their areas, I fully believe. And they are people as well that are becoming more and more known because it's becoming more obvious as the nose is on your face as to what's happening in this country. And I mean this when I say this. I've been talking to a couple of people in the last few weeks, and I don't say this, and I'm not like these people. I don't tell lies. I've been talking to people that have bought into what has been going on for the last 2 years, still somewhat are buying into it, and are really peeved and understand that they are being replaced in their own country. They're getting it. And they are talking about unrest. And I'm saying to them, I understand what you're saying. Because when you're seeing people are rocking into the country and they're being given free stuff, free houses, and you've got young children or you have children on the way or whatever it might be, and they are prospectively looking at inheritance tax absolutely shafting them and you see someone walking into the place getting free everything, of course that's going to irritate the life out of you, to say the very least. And that's only going to last for so long, because what's happening now is, as I said, Cromwell 2.0 is happening now, and people are starting to realise that far quicker than they did centuries ago. And with the likes of the internet, it's becoming more and more apparent. Where else would you have it when you have a country led by an alleged Taoiseach, a fella that's supposed to be a chieftain? That's what Taoiseach means in English, chieftain. And this fella doesn't know what's going on in the main street of Ireland. And he's actually appalled and shocked at what's happening on the main street of Ireland. How out of touch is this fella? He hasn't got a clue. No idea whatsoever about what's happening in this country. Not that he has no idea, but just doesn't care. And neither does the Justice Minister, which is great to see grip media, by the way, because I'll always shout out good reporting, I'll always shout out good journalism, and they're starting to hold her feet to the fire and say, what has she actually done? And not only that, how many deportations has she presided over, and how many have actually gone ahead? And these are things that people need to be looking at and saying to themselves, all right, that makes sense now. Because my opinion is this, and as I've said before, I don't understand how this country, and by the way, when you're saying it being led by the certain people as well too, I didn't know that India was in the EU. I didn't know that. I didn't know that China was in the EU. I certainly didn't know that Africa was in the EU. But yet, it seems like this is all that's coming into the country. Now, that's not to say that's not only what's coming into the country, because you've got Albanians now that are rocking in the door. And I mean, let me tell you, when those guys start getting going, that's going to be a real problem. Because if you think the guys that they like to report on, the little media here, oh, we're going to report on the Kinahans and the Hutches and we're going to pit them against each other. When you see the bookouts that are coming in from Albania, these fellas don't mess about. And these fellas are going to be taking articles of you trying to pit them against each other. Like, you don't understand. You seriously do not understand what you are going to bring onto yourself, because these guys, I'm telling you now, I really mean that. From witnessing and indeed listening to and seeing articles online of what they do there, they're not worried about being called names. They are not worried about it one bit. So, cheering on this diversity stuff and open door policy, which is an absolutely terrible idea, because again, with all these lefties as well too, these lefties love this open door policy into our country, but yet none of these people are housing any of these individuals. Anytime you ask them, oh, the apartment isn't ready, it's not clean, the dog's everywhere, the cat's shit everywhere, that has its pissed all over the place, you can't come in. And that's actually factual, by the way. So when you've got these people that are out there that are cheering this stuff on, it does beg the question then as to, are these people stupid, which a large amount of people would agree with, or are these people being paid to say these type of things and keep this loud minority of voices up there? But what is happening now is the average individual who's just an average head that's not into any of this stuff is starting to get involved. The normie is starting to understand. The normie's going, hang on, I've got less for the weekly shop here, but yet there's people being walked into this country, being given free accommodation, free meals, free money, and a free house then. What about me? Yeah, you're bang on about that one. Fair play to you. Irish people rage over a BBC article which claimed Ronaldo was throwing a bit of a paddy. Outraged Irish people have hit out at the BBC over an article which claimed Cristiano Ronaldo was throwing a bit of a paddy at Manchester United, says Extra.ie. I said, as an Irishman, this is nonsense. And so what if they said it? Don't care. No interest. This is the age you live in. Extra.ie and other people being offended. Oh my God, I'm offended. Shut up. So what if they said it? Who cares? It's not like you don't be running around. Well, I mean, here's the thing. These outlets really reared their heads over the last few weeks. Do you know any Irish person that like mourned the Queen or was like, I'm terribly sad about this? Yeah, listen, do you know anything about her two sons? Because I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a crash course in her two sons there. And all these people are shocked and appalled. And the backup, as I always say to people, have a little folder in your phone and just go, hang on here for a sec. Here, look at that. There's your man there with Jeffrey. Hang on here, scroll there again. There's your man there with Jimmy. What do you think of that? J&J, what? J&J before that, J&J was out there doing other things to people. Anyway, look at that. So there you go. That's what's happening. And listen, that's a nonsense article, that is. Who cares? So what? Rocket and constant dropping ticket prices, sales forces musicians to put sound like Gandalf there. Rocketing costs and dropping ticket sales force musicians to pull tour dates. This is sad. I hope you have the Ukraine flag in your bio though. Quick swig there, guys. I hope you have that Ukraine flag in your bio. I hope you also have the Boy Large Mansion stuff in the bio too, guys. Because nobody's feeling any sort of sorry or not sorrow for you. That's what's going on. And here's the thing. A lot of people like myself were banned from attending live events. And you know what we said? We said, okay, we're not going to go again. And that's what's going on. You're not going to be able to fill these places. And people like myself are already withholding our money. But what's going on, the normie, the person that's working, and I mean this, working in jobs that are just getting them by, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, because you're out there and living, absolutely nothing wrong with that at all, and fair play to you. But these people now that are going, hang on here now, I'm on 500 quid every 2 weeks. I'm not going to be paying to go and see some fella talk shit during the set. I'm not paying to go and see Chris Martin talk absolute bollocks whilst listening to songs that are only all right. Like, not doing it. And that's big acts. That's not even talking about smaller acts. Now, people would have bought their tickets for the Garth Brooks experience, and that seemed to have enthralled the majority of the country, of course. But I think when all was said and done, people walked away from that and went, that was an expensive night. You'd only be doing that once in a blue moon there. So they're not going to go to these smaller venues. They're not going to go to these smaller acts. And indeed, some of these bigger acts, because you've got Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's had to cancel like half his world tour. You've got actual big musicians, by the way, musicians that are actively out there telling you. Daniel O'Donnell, I think, was out there and was like, I can't go on tour now. It's too expensive. Were you involved in supporting any of the nonsense for the last 2 years? What about the stuff there since February? Were you involved in that too? Yeah, I think you should be on Elon Musk's side there when it comes to stopping everything that's going on over there. And the USA are going, no, keep it going. Stop it. Knock it off and everything should be sorted. And anyway, why is the world's problems all contingent on one shithole that nobody heard about nor cared about before? You only cared about it because your man Shevchenko played for the bloody country and then was playing elsewhere down across Chelsea and AC Milan. Nobody knows the place. If you 90% of the people, I'd say, if you walked around the street and said, here's a globe, point out that shithole right here, right now, I'd say 90% would be like, no, I don't know where that is. So anyway, Europe risks deeper recession due to Ukraine war and inflation, says IMF. Germany and Italy are predicted to slip into recession next year. So this is prepping you. And what they do here with the media is they prep people for what they are going to do, which is to take the rug out from underneath you and take more money off you. Meanwhile, they're actively telling you in the media, by the way, that the government officials are giving themselves more money. They're also telling you that they're sending 1 billion, close to 1 billion, 927 million out of the country in foreign aid. That's on top of the 3 billion that Pascal Donahue has found down the back of a couch to bring people into the country. And then they're telling people up in Donegal, the Mika redress there, don't have the money for that one, guys. Yeah, what? Yeah, you know that Garda station that we said we were going to open on Connor Street there? Yeah, we're not going to do that. What? Yeah, another way we said we were going to get more recruits in the Garda. Yeah, it's not going to happen. All things that should be important and should be looked at, because guess what's going to happen in the next few years? People are going to be waiting around for the boys in blue to turn up. And when I say the boys in blue, the boys and girls in blue, because diversity and all that these days. And now, in all seriousness, I've been talking to a couple of people. Again, what I would say is, I'll retract the previous statement there. What I'll say is, speculatively, allegedly, been talking to people, and they have been talking about making sure they are safe going forward. Because they understand, as well as I do, and as well as other people do, that if you called Domino's Pizza and got a pizza, they would arrive on the scene quicker than the Gardaí, because the Gardaí are undermanned and understaffed and they're dealing with nonsense. And they are happy to deal with nonsense, because here's the thing. They have made the job out to be like this. They have made the job out to have little respect shown towards them. And if you're in their shoes, do you want to be on the side of a road getting spat at by some fella there that's up to no good? Or indeed actually doing your job, which is what I think you should do, and start investigating the likes of Luke O'Neill, News Talk, various different media organisations, the government, investigating them for the last 2 years, because all of the data is out there, and start doing something about that? Or are you going to stand on the side of a road with an LSP gun and decide to give people fines? It's the latter that you're choosing, because they've made the job so, I would say, inhospitable that people are just going to go, I'll take the easy option now. But what's going to happen as a result, and this is what this channel is about, it's about cause and effect, and again, explaining clown world commentary. You're going to have people now that are going to take matters into their own hands. I'm going to just say this. I'm not endorsing it. I'm not supporting it. And I'm not telling you to go out and do it. This is just to put that out there. And I'm disavowing anyone that's doing that. But what I'm telling you is that you are going to have that sort of problem going forward. Because when you decide not to give people resources, when you decide to actively run away from certain situations, people are going to look at that and they view that. And now, not only do the average normie view that, the criminal element view that. And the criminal element, when I'm saying that, not only in our own country, but the one that's coming here, looks at you as running. They look at the Ghent fans that were in Dublin and they see how they outnumbered the Gardaí and how those fellas weren't afraid. They see that the Gardaí decided to wade in, and one fella in particular was pushed over, and it was trouble. Because guess what was in the crowd of Gardaí? There was a little diversity hire there that didn't know what to do. Was absolutely stunned as to what was going on. Now, that could have ended really badly. And this is what's starting to become more and more apparent. Now, we will say on the flip side, because a lot of people, again, I'd like to remind you, do you remember the military-esque operation that was conducted when people decided to protest at St. Stephen's Green? That was done by the Gardaí. There was more Gardaí than I've ever seen in my entire life in town that day, allegedly, speculatively. And the operation that was carried out was second to none. But that same energy hasn't been shown since then anywhere. Wasn't shown in Cherry Orchard. Wasn't shown yesterday in Ghent, and well, in town with the Ghent supporters. Not shown there at all. So people are now viewing that and they're going, right, it seems to be one rule there and another rule there. And what happened up there as well too after the St. George and Machete incident? Oh, you just ran away and left people on their own. Right, that's not good, is it? And that's definitely not good. So now more and more people are realising that. And this is what these people are doing on the flip side. Whilst they have you distracted about all that sort of stuff, they're doing this. They're telling you, yeah, we're going to take more money out of your pocket there. We're going to devalue your living wage. We're going to devalue your pension. And we're going to devalue that anything that you have prospectively. Everything that you have now is worth less. And that's at the behest of these people. It's at the behest of the likes of the EU. If we weren't in the EU, this wouldn't be a problem. And that's the important thing that people are starting to come back to looking at. They're like, hang on here for a second. I voted the first time, I voted now, and I did that the second time. Did you vote that way? Yeah, no, I voted the same way the second time. Did you vote that way? And now people are starting to ask questions. And that's what's happening now. And I'm loving it. I have to say, I'm really loving it. Loving to see people go, hang on, I'm not sure about any of these things. And I'm like, yeah, you're on here. I do always have a gentle nudge is what I like to do. I'd be like, yeah, I think you're right on that one there. And then let them kind of come to that realization. Because again, like I said, it's the Matrix. Once you see the ones and zeros, you can't not help but see the ones and zeros then forevermore. So this is what's going on. They're actively telling you, war and inflation that they've caused and that they're actively supporting. Because had this country had any sort of leadership at all, they would have been out and gone, stop there for a sec, hang on, time out. Yeah, we're not supporting the man there that's walking around the high heels there in the yellow and blue country. No, thanks, no. We're neutral first and foremost. And second of all, if we're going to pick sides with anyone, it's going to be the dude with the gas and the oil. What, the Yanks aren't happy? Well, they have a fella that's running the show there, that the suspect stuff going on there, to say the very least. And your man is on video and has multiple pictures of him sniffing kids. So, not worried about what's going on over there. And by the way, America, sort yourself out there whilst you're at it there, lads. Thanks, lads. And while you're at it, guys, we're out of the EU. We're bringing back the punt. Good luck to you. Anyway, Eamon Ryan calls on public bodies to scale back on Christmas lights. El Grinch, huh? Now, this is a fella, and did you notice it? Because I said it not too long ago. This fella's mother passed away, and there was very little coverage on that funeral. Did you notice that? There was no coverage, it seemed, at all about it. And as I said, I hope they all cycled their bikes over and used a wicker basket and indeed cycled all the way then to the graveyard. I highly doubt any of that happened. And again, these people as well too that were telling you that you had to have a Zoom call into a funeral, I'd say that wasn't anything on the cards for them at all. I don't think they were afraid of that whatsoever. Anybody masking in there? Doubt it. Going back to what I was saying earlier on as well too about Enoch Burke. Enoch Burke, 40 plus days in Mountjoy prison. Not an eek of a word from the clergy. Nobody talking about it in the government. Nobody talking about it. I mean, I know he's Church of Ireland, but certainly nobody within that institution that's making a big noise about it, and they're just leaving it go. Makes you think, doesn't it? What about the memo files and indeed the alleged ones that are walking around the country, and some of them that have been convicted just walking about, not a bother? It says it all, doesn't it, when the fella that's in there that ultimately is telling you, no, I'm not going to use the incorrect pronoun. And here's the thing. The left wants to debate with you on that one. Well, he harassed someone. That's what you do. That's what you focus on doing. You focus on being in everybody else's lane but your own. You focus on trying to do everything on someone else you do for the detriment of that person when that person is telling the truth. And the reason why you don't like the truth being told is because your heart, your stomach is too small to even recognize that someone will tell the truth, because you do not possess the soul, nor do you possess the courage to come out and speak the truth. You do not have it within you. And that is what is going on with you. It's born in jealousy, is what's happening with you. This is all the same thing that you're seeing with these effeminate little fellas now running around. They don't like the masculine individual because they're jealous. That is the story that has been told for a very long time, and it hasn't been told a better way than what Superman's story was. Lex Luthor is ultimately jealous of Superman because Superman possesses power and he chooses to do good. And Luthor ultimately is a bad guy, and he's a weak little weasel of an individual. And that's why the Jesse Eisenberg version of Lex Luthor and Batman vs. Superman is perfect, because he's also a perfect representation of the left, a little beta male. And what did Superman do in that movie, by the way? Because you'll notice now on the next time you view it, if you haven't noticed it before. What was the first thing that Superman did when he came back and Doomsday was coming out? He saved Luthor. Didn't think for a moment about what Luthor had done to him, the problems he had caused, and he didn't think about what he had done to his mother. He chose to save him because that's who Superman is. And Luthor still the little weasel that was plotting against him then after the fact. It's a very interesting story, and that's why I like to weave entertainment into these things, because that's what's been told for a very long time, and that's something that they want to get away from. Now, when it goes on Eamon Ryan shouldn't be listened to when it comes to anything. This is a fella that has been left riot into the country and caused so many problems that it's actually beyond me that he is where he is. But it goes to show you the lack of courage. It goes to show you the lack of integrity and morality that's within the Green Party here in Ireland, when they're happy to look at this and witness it and be part of it. Because as we always know and always say, if you're part of a team and you agree what's going on with the team and you say nothing, you're part and parcel of that there. If you're someone that's speaking out, that's why the Ronaldo thing, for example, takes my fancy, because I'm like, well, it's interesting to see what Ronaldo's doing there, because he's not agreeing with what Ten Hag is doing. And to me, that's a very interesting dynamic that's going on as a story, obviously as well too as a club. But when you see these things happening and you see someone start to break ranks, and you see Harry Maguire being brought back into the team, you see Luke Shaw being brought back into the team, a decade worth of Luke Shaw there nearly, and he's been absolutely shit. 6 years as well too of Marcus Rashford has been absolutely shit, and you decide to bench the greatest player of all time. Something not right there, you know what I mean? But he's breaking ranks and going, here, hang on for a sec, this isn't right. And that's what I like about what that situation is now at the moment. Again, everything aside. But that's not what's happening in any of these political parties here in this country. None of them. Not one of these Greens. What did they do there a while ago? They voted against the government. They got whipped out of their positions for like 2 weeks, and then they were brought back. That was the point in time to challenge the leadership, wasn't it? Should you not been running for it then, going, hang on here, this fella's a goofball that's running this. Yeah, let's go. I mean, he's like Will Ferrell and the Step Brothers. Do you know what I mean? And none of them said, I can make a go over here. Peculiar, isn't it? Very peculiar. If it was me, just because of the type of person I am, I'd be looking at that and be like, all right, I'm going to take leadership here now. There's definitely opportunity here, because this fella's not doing it for us at all, and he's going to cause problems. And inevitably, he's going to cause problems within my own constituency, and he's going to cause problems for me to get back into this position then later on down the road. Or are you completely not worried about getting back into that position? Because if you're not, that says an awful lot to me. Here we go anyway, boys. The group beginning with P that has paid out some of the biggest fines, if not the biggest fine in history for criminal behaviour, and has been absolutely 100% proved now to not stop transmission whatsoever, is investing in 1 billion in Dublin. How about that, huh? That's interesting, isn't it? Now, 1 billion is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Where's that money going to go? Who is earning off the back of this? Who has made this deal? And who stands to gain? Because that's what I think should be happening. I think people should be finding out what's happening here. The pharma giant already employs over 1,700 people at the site at Grange Castle. And as I said here, hey Gardaí, you should really investigate this group and where the money is going. This group here, by the way, have published data that within the first 3 months 1,200 people no longer with us, bro. There was another video out there today by Salty Cracker was talking about a Democrat there that had taken this stuff allegedly, speculatively, I think we say. Was it this one? I think he said it was this one. Richard Rowe was his name. And when you type that into Google, they don't want to let you know on that. So that's why you should use other browsers, by the way. But anyway, this fella was out there being like, took more of this stuff. It didn't work out well. Your man's no longer with us now. So, here's the thing. I don't feel any which way about not taking this stuff at all. I feel actually quite good about it, if I'm being honest with you. And what you've ended up with potentially is myocarditis. You know what I mean? So anyway, here we go. This is from the ICCL. Okay, so this is from the ICCL, so the Irish Council of Civil Liberties. Of course, these were on the missing list as well too for the past couple of years, but they decided to come back out. And this is an interesting story because to me, this is the way things are going to go for sure. Because when you see the pushing in particular of this card and membership and all, this is what they're trying to do just in a sneakier way. And what they'll eventually try and do is to try and go cashless. Now, there was a couple of things that were sent to me during the week, particularly the point man there was sending me out there but specific place. Where was it called? I don't want to get the place wrong or anything like that. But the place was looking to, one second there. The place was looking to endorse and enforce a cashless payment to enter the place. It was a kids type of place anyway. I'm not going to mistake the name in case you know yourself. So anyway, they wanted to go cashless. They got a very bad rep as a result, and the feedback was obviously very intense. And they were like, we're not going to go cashless, guys." But the point is, the attempt to do it in the first place shouldn't be forgotten. And that's when you see, like, even now through drive-thrus and other places, like I seen it recently, I did in a place specifically in KFC were like, where we preferred if you paid with card. What? Sure, the cashless legal tender. And not only that then, but this move and drive towards cashless is a very negative thing. Now, I know people that are out there that say, it's handier and all that. Sure it is, yeah, absolutely. And that's what they've done. They've made it convenient. But also what they've done is they've looked at it and said, well, what else can we do with it? We can track your movement where we know where you're going to go. We can limit the spending that you're going to have. We're now going to introduce, which they've done now, I think it was a Visa or MasterCard there recently, were saying, effectively, allegedly, of course, with the companies involved, that they want to let you know about your carbon footprint with relation to what you are buying. So it's all moving in that direction there, where they're telling you, eat the vegan burger there. In Germany, this is in Germany, by the way, which you know is going to happen here eventually, that when you go to Burger King, when they give you a burger, it was in an article recently, I think it was on Lad Bible, and they were saying that you have to specify in the Burger King now that you want actual meat as the burger, because if you're not specifying that, you'll get a plant-based Whopper. What a world we live in, what? And at the same time, they're telling you, get the crickets into you then instead. So anyway, Tesco has decided to bar store entry to people who refuse club cards. Does that sound familiar to you? That sounds very familiar to what the likes of Jerry Horgan and your man Martin there, Satirical Soldier, often shows him as well. We'll see him now down below. We'll see him now in a few minutes. He's congratulating Rowan and Glynn. And you're like, whoa, So anyway, that's what Tesco are doing here with the club cards. So this is not just some Mickey Mouse place, by the way. This is the Irish Council for Civil Liberties that have decided to forward a letter on to Tesco's CEO. Very serious here, because this is what's going to happen now eventually in this country, where these are going to be the conglomerate. And when you can see the movement as they are happening now, and you're just projecting a couple of months down the line, what's happening now is with the little shop that you knew around the corner. I'm involved in this too, by the way. The little shop that's local decided to discriminate against me, and I said, that's grand. I won't be purchasing anything in here now ever again. That little shop, because they chose to do that, won't get any business from me. And I'm sure there's many other people that are out there that felt the same, and now they won't. So they're going to quietly go away, because their bills are going up through the likes of inflation. They're paying about $8,000 a month. This is what most of them are paying to keep the lights on. And then they're going to say, oh, hang on, the produce is going up, so we can't afford to keep it open. You're seeing another place there today, Box Burger there in Bright, where like we can't keep the place open. The overheads are too much. It's costing us too much to keep the place open. Yeah. That's a place now that's popular, by the way. So what's going to happen to the other places, these smaller places? They're all going to go under, and then what you're going to be left with is Tesco. You're left with Tesco. You're left with Aldi. You're left with Lidl's. You're left with Dunn's. And what do those things all have in common? Conglomerates, and they tried to push the stuff as much as possible over the last couple of years. So much so that I think it was in Lidl's in Australia that they were talking about telling people you can't come in unless you've taken the Voldemort. So this is where it's moving towards. Now, I look at South Africa, for example, and I see what they've done over there, which is when things like that happen, they decided to just loot the place. But the looting situation only lasts for so long, because what happens then if a place is looted once, twice, that's it, they're not restocking it, then they're going to say, right, that's it now, we're not giving nothing to you. So that's all stuff that's coming down the line. And when you have the CEO, the fellow that's running Supermax, been like, food shortage on the way, sounds like an inside track there. But is it something that they're using to scare people? Probably. And the thing is as well, if food shortages become chronic, which I've no doubt that they probably, I'm not going to say they will, they'll make it seem that way because there's no shortage of food. What's happening is they're going to just keep inflating the price and tell you, supply and demand there. And what they're trying to do is to try and make stuff more scarce. But that only lasts for so long, because what is going to happen this time, now they are flirting with the idea with the likes of electricity and the internet and that. They're flirting with the idea of turning that stuff off so that you can't see what's going on in Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Iran, and various other places, and saying to yourself, what's happening over there? I haven't heard a peep out of Afghanistan. I haven't heard a peep out of Sri Lanka. Seems like things are going all right over there. You know? It's interesting. So that's what's going on, and this is the route that they're going to go down. Bar you from the place if you're not involved in their club card scheme. And the thing is, why would you? Now, I think I said it. Did I say it? I think a couple of months ago, where I said this club card thing is the beginning of this. I think I said it as far as I know. And I said, hey, they're bringing this stuff in, this club card prices, which is actively discriminatory in itself, because now I know with them being but I say actively discriminatory, allegedly, with them being the trader, they can set the prices, obviously. But their angle was what used to happen in Tesco was you could have a club card, it was an optional thing, and we'll just say Milky bars were on special and it was 150. It was 150 for everyone, whether you had the club card or not. Now what they did over the last few months, which you've noticed and I've noticed because I said it here not too long ago, was that they are just offering that special to people with the club card. And I was like, that's setting up this here. And lo and behold, here we go. So the club card special, just so you know and so you can tell other people, is setting this up there where you all have to be on the club card. And the club card is a QR code, and it's also got a barcode on it. So that's also tracking your movements and knows where you live because the stuff is sent out to your address. You know what I'm saying? And where is that data going? Where is all of that going to? And who is using it? And what are they using it for? Because again, like I said, and this is the way you got to think of it. Beforehand, if you didn't have the club card or anything like that and you were using cash, that's grand. Nobody knows what you're buying. If you're buying 4 steaks, if you're buying 20. But if you have the club card and you're exclusively having to buy in the store and you're buying the 20 steaks, let's just say you're a bodybuilder, then they know you've bought 20 steaks. And what happens then if they decide to limit you to 2? Do you know what I'm saying? And that's how quick and easy it is. So you've now lost that freedom of getting as much as you want. They're going to tell you, well, actually, hang on there, John. You're after getting 2 steaks there. Your limit there is 1. So you have to put 1 back. And John's standing there going, oh, right, yeah. Now, that's not going to happen in other countries, because in other countries, they're going to go, well, do you know, I'm going to take 50 of them. I'm just going to walk out of the place. Look at what's going on in America. You can steal, you can steal up to 9 grand's worth of stuff, is it? Or is it 900? Anyway, you can steal a savage amount of stuff before being arrested out of shops. So, rampant criminality is going to make a very much so. It's happening in America. Look at stuff that's going on in New York City. New York City is wild. It's like Grand Theft Auto in real life. Anyway, that's Tesco. I'll probably do a video on that as well too, as a singular thing, but I felt that was something that you needed to focus a bit of time on, because this one here is very much so making its way over. And the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, like ultimately when it came down to it over the last 2 years, nothing done. You know what I mean? They just done what they wanted in the government, how farcical and nonsensical it was, and just kept rolling on with it. Mary Lou McDonald says husband entitled to defend his good name over Shane Ross' book. So Martin Lanigan is a private citizen and entitled to defend good name, says Sinn Féin leader who is subject of Ross's biography. Now, in the biography, he questions where the money came from that her and her husband got to use to purchase the home that they have. And it's quite a large home, by the way. So he was like, where did that money come from? Now, I think that's a fair question to ask, but also she doesn't think that that's a fair question to ask. Now, to me, why would you be concerned about that? And these are the same people, by the way, that are telling you to hand over your information, hand over fist. And this is the same Sinn Féin, by the way, that's been the weakest and worst opposition of all time, that they did nothing for the Irish people for the last couple of years. And I mean, here's the thing. Mary Lou got the woohoo flu nearly day one and came out with the other side, not a bother, had an open goal for the past 2 years and decided to say nothing. But you just got to look at where her sister works, and her sister works for a pharmaceutical company, allegedly, speculatively works with Simon Harris's sister. Now, isn't that an interesting quinky dink there? But Ireland is small, and this is why these things get found out, allegedly, speculatively, of course. And that's why you've got situations like this where people say and go to themselves, hang on, what's happening over here? Because what they're doing is, at this moment, and you'll notice it with the media are priming her to become the next Taoiseach. That's what they're doing. And that's why, in my view, they ran less candidates in the last election, because, in my view, at that point in time, they'd have won the last election had they ran enough candidates. Doesn't it seem strange to you when you know you're going to win or have a very good chance at winning that you actually play less players? That would be like Manchester United going out and fielding 8 players instead of 11 against a Chelsea side. You'd be like, why would you do that? That's a ridiculous decision. So that's, in my opinion, what they did. But you see what's been going on up the north, and you see what's going on with this one over here, and you just go to yourself, well, it's going to be more of the same. And the north aren't very happy with this one over here, and especially when you're looking at someone in the DUP. And I mean, this is the thing, freedom of speech is something that's very important, but if someone wants to speak about her in a derogatory or even a negative way, so what? Suspended from the DUP for 3 months. The DUP? This is a group that actively dislikes Sinn Féin to the nth degree, the nth level, and yet someone's suspended for that. I'll show you the clown shower that's going on here, and that's why people are getting more back to telling people the truth. Like, I know a number of people that have been saying to me, Ninja, I cannot wait till people start knocking around on doors to likes of the government, and indeed these TDs and councillors not. They are raring for it. They cannot wait. And I decided, well, why don't you get one foot ahead of the posse and talk to them at the constituency office, meet up with them respectfully, peacefully, of course, book an appointment, and indeed contact them in email. And the outside the same thing to me, Ninja, we've emailed these people for the last couple of years, and they've either blocked us or they've ignored us. So I'm looking forward to them knocking on my door and asking for the vote. I'm going to tell them what I think. And I'd say to them, well, do you know what? Don't only tell them what you think, tell everybody else that you know. And tell everybody else that you know what they've been up to and what your personal opinions are on that. Because now it's come to the point in time where this kind of hiding behind, well, you know, sure, yeah, man, look. Now, you need to be telling people what's going on and where these people are at and what they're up to. People who caught mild flu had increased risk of blood clots, British study finds. Patients with milds, defined as those not hospitalised, were 2.7 times more likely to develop blood clots, according to the UK Journal study. But how many of them are full of the sauce, though? That's what I want to know. And I would say 100% of the people that I know that took the sauce ended up getting it anyway. Not the clots now, but getting the woohoo flu. So, to me, it was all nonsense. It was all moot. And these people themselves are laughing at you in the European Commission, being like, we never said it would stop transmission. Yeah, you did. I've got a quote down below from Luke O'Neill. You're telling me he didn't say that? He did. So now you're on the back foot and now you're backpedaling. And I keep saying that what's going to happen in America in November is very important. And everything that goes on there ends up making its way across here because it happens in America. It goes to the UK. And within 2 or 3 years, then it happens here. Look at the clown show that's going on here in this country. You have actual drag queens that are out there running around wanting to perform for children. Now you've got all sorts now being, and as Satirical Soldier has done as well too, been attempted to be, and again, Tracy O'Matney as well too, big shout out to her, been implemented or attempted to be implemented into the curriculum. Pure degeneracy, like. So all of this is happening, and it's happening in America first, happens in Britain, and then it happens here. The only thing is Ireland seems to have a shorter fuse when it comes to these things, and people are getting ahead of it. Like the hashtag Ireland is full. It's trending on Twitter, I think, once every 2 weeks. And in fairness, that's been going really well, and people are showing what's going on. Like, where else would you get it? On one hand, you've got the government coming out being like, we don't have any more space. And then on the other hand, being like, yeah, we're still letting people into the place. Like, that is ludicrous stuff. That's like holding a 2 litre bottle of Coca-Cola and pouring it into a pint glass, and you're pouring it and pouring it and pouring it, and it's overflowing, and you're like you'd be committed. You'd be committed somewhere. That's what would be happening. The first thing I'd be doing is like, if you're doing that every day and more times than one in a day, I'd be like, listen, you need to go somewhere. You need to, you need to be assessed here. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's with something that's just as frivolous as a beverage, let alone with a country. But this is what's going on. People are just walking into the place, and this gang are like, it's no problem. Because you know why? It's not happening in Dalkey. It's not happening down in certain places in Meath. It's not happening in places there in Cork. It's not happening there. So until it does, and that's why I'm telling you about why it's important to have based people. You take, for example, the Bargain Town incident, where Philip Dwyer and a number of people then that were in Finglas went over, seeing that people were living in the Bargain Town that was there, and ended up then very astutely commented towards it, being like, I wonder what Dublin Fire Brigade to think about that, because that not hazard. Good idea. They were shifted out of there pretty quick. But what happened? Speculatively, allegedly, again, not endorsing, disavowing as well too if this is to happen. But look at what's going on in America. They ended up flying people there that were coming up from the southern border into Martha's Vineyard and being like, you deal with them. And then the Martha's Vineyard crowd showed exactly what they were. Within 24 hours, they were like, yoink, get them out. And the same thing is going to happen here eventually, where you're going to have some bush driver, right? Again, I'm speculating this, but I'm also seeing ahead into the future and cause and effect. You're going to have old Jimmy, right? And Jimmy's been loyal to. And Jimmy knows he's been loyal to now at this point. And Jimmy realizes that his son, his daughter, his grandchildren can't buy a house and won't be able to buy a house. What's he going to do? He's going to see the Albanians, the Algerians, the Georgians, the people coming from the continent of Africa and India, all rocking into the country. And he's going to go, right, I'm going to drop these off here in Dalkey here now, lads. I'm going to drop them off in RT Studios. I'm going to drop them off there now in Helen's. I'm going to drop them off. Again, speculatively, allegedly, disavow anyone doing this, by the way. But that's what's going to happen, because you have done that. So I would be skeptical of this one, but of course CNBC is still wheeling this sort of stuff out here. A study finds, listen, I could do a study here on YouTube tonight in the chat and be like, how many people like Freddo bars? And you could get an overwhelming majority of people that be like, I like Freddo bars. But does that mean the sales of Freddo bars are accurate? Nah, doesn't mean that that's the most popular bar. Do you know what I mean? So you can skew these things, and what's happening is you, by the way, you who are listening to this, have become more literate with the media, and this is why it's been important for the last couple of years that you've done this yourself, is you become more literate with the media, as have I, and knowing what they're doing and what they're saying and how they say it and what they omit and what they put in. And that's very important to know what they say and how they say it, because it's all words, and these people are the masters of manipulating it. But what's happening is they've been caught up with, and now you're seeing like patterns, sudden illness after a short illness, and you're going, all right, that's a bit of a pattern there. Heart issue, all right, SADS, well, that seems to be on the rise there as well too. Patterns. Athletes, that's happening to as well too. Very sharp increase, and all of them not wanting to talk about it. But what they will talk about with you is the Kinahans and the Hudges. Listen, I don't give a shit what they do. I've said it before. None of those people have ever taken my freedom, liberties, or rights. They're doing whatever they're doing. I couldn't care less. I really couldn't. But what I am caring about is the fact that the government of this country, which was also policed by the likes of Garda Síochána, along with people that worked in these places, wanted to deny me entry, and did deny me entry to the likes of gyms, cinemas, restaurants, pubs. And then we're talking about denying me entry into the likes of supermarkets and my livelihood. So, you know what I mean? This is all that's going on, and it's not being forgotten about. And if these people think it's going to be forgotten about, they have another thing coming, because it's not being forgotten about. And what's happening is it's getting louder and louder. And this is why things are contingent, I suppose, on America and what they do in November. I said it last week. Interesting to see what happens there. If they do what they did again in 2020, which is Joe, the most popular president of all time, of course. More popular than Ronald Reagan, more popular than Barack Obama, right? And I would say that as at the time, Barack Obama was a very charismatic man. And of course, then when you look back at Reagan, Reagan was an enormously popular man. And this guy here that came out of the basement, I think, once in every 2 weeks and couldn't fill a school hall or anything like that, he caused Romtown. Very strange. But what ends up happening there in November is going to make its way across here. But I would also say keep an eye on what's going on in Brazil, because Brazil's another focal point as well too. They are looking to usurp your man there. Now, they're already talking about in the media how his son, Bolsonaro's son, has come out and been like, if there's any diddling here, we're going to have big problems. And Bolsonaro hasn't said it himself, but there's now media speculation of this fella was in the military before, and if he gets enough of these people that he has installed in government as commanders to just go, no, we might be in trouble. This is why you're seeing, and I said it there 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said it when I seen people marching through the streets of Dublin that were sending votes. I was like, there's messing the foot here. And when I see Hollywood getting involved, like Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Ruffalo, I'm like, tell you now, Brazil is the next place to get it. And as a result, you can see it starting to move that way. And they're like, Lula seems to be very popular here. He seems to be winning. That's a fella that was convicted of fraud, was it not? Money laundering and all that. Was that not him? And the worst thing you can say about Bolsonaro was some of the offbeat comments, and probably you might even say more dated comments that he's made. That's about it. It's the same thing with Teflon Don. Exactly the same thing. Well, he made a couple of negative comments. He said things about Rosie O'Donnell. Okay. What about the fella that sniffs kids? No interest. What about his daughter's 11-year-old diary that was that Rudy Giuliani had and was like, hey, FBI, take a look at this. And they were like, no, not interested in that, guys. You know what I'm saying? And more people are starting to get their information and start to go, right, big problems going on here. When was the last time, by the way, you heard in this country of a big memo foil ring being broken, arrested and brought before court and being paraded around the place? When was the last time you heard about that? Because if you think that stuff has just gone away, it absolutely hasn't. So that's what the media do. That's what they use for. Why are energy bills not falling even as gas prices plummet on world markets? Because you support the hobgoblins keeping her up. That's why. That's a very simple answer to that question. Sack teacher loses legal bid in transgender pupil case. Teacher disagreed with the school's policy for supporting transgender children. This is from BBC. This is a misleading headline because when you read into the article, then what the teacher actually did was they accessed private documents off time in their own time, which they shouldn't have done. And that's what lost in the case. The case they were winning at that point. That's what the article makes very clear when you're looking at it. It's like the teacher had a very specific point, was running with the likes of the policies, the guidances, and the guidelines, but then decided to do things on their own accord, and that's where they were got. So, as I said there, the headline fails to mention that private info was accessed, and the same info the media didn't mind you handing over to go to a pub. So, anytime I ask the question, which I am going to consistently do now forevermore, and as I do with the videos going forward, is I want to know the status of people that have gone with the likes of the sudden stuff, or if they've gone with a heart issue, or if they want to go with an accident, sudden illness, short illness, whatever it might be, because you decided that you would be able to ask me for my documents as I was trying to enter a pub, a cinema, a restaurant and club. I think it's very important that we all go full circle and say, well, you had no problem with that. Tell you what, guys, why don't you just say yes or no? Also, what has happened in the last week, I'm sure they have the image down below, just because while I'm at it, Roy Butler's brother has come out and has made a very big statement. I am fascinated about that. Now, I'm doing a video on that one, and fair play to Roy Butler's brother, Aaron Butler, as far as I know that man's name is. And they're going out and they're chasing answers now, because that is a massive case. And I think I'm definitely going to do a video on it, of course, because I think that's a massive one that needs to jump the line, and insofar as everyone around the world should be talking about that. That's why I thought what happened with Enoch was amazing to see. Everyone around the world was talking about it. But ultimately then, did anyone do anything about it? Other than Fergal, that's out there, and I see him. Fergal, that's outside Mountjoy every day, and he's out there with an awful lot of people that are out there as well that come out and protest. We're fair play to everyone there. No one else there interested in doing that. Very interesting, isn't it? Chinese police station in Dublin ordered to shut. Chinese police station in Dublin ordered to shut. A human rights group said the overseas stations aim to persuade immigrants to return to China. I doubt that. How many Chinese people do you know are in this country now? How many Chinese people do you know that have bought houses and are letting it out to 50 odd people? That's happening. And how many of those people, by the way, that own these places, or indeed that are living in the place, working the likes of a hairdressers, a barbers, or a Chinese restaurant? And what do those three things have in common? They all take cash. They won't take card payments either. Interesting, that, isn't it? So these people are earning a fortune and buying up property hand over fist. And you have a Chinese police station knocking around this country. This is a huge scandal. And the BBC were the ones that reported on this. I haven't seen any of this in any of the Irish media. That's a huge scandal. What are the Chinese doing with a police station here in this country? And what are they at? Now, I said it before that there seemed to be allegedly, expectedly CCP influence here in this country, but now I think it's more than that. You're looking at it and going, that seems pretty direct there now. And here's the thing. You got Leo Varadkar, for example, out there pontificating with the rest of them about what's happening with Russia. Do you want to see the human rights violations and abuses that's going on in that country? And you've no problem welcoming people in from the country. You've no problem setting up and helping to set up, allegedly, expectedly, a police station here in this country. That is unbelievable. That is absolutely outrageous. And that is something as well, too, that not enough people are realising what's happening. Because the influence of what's going on here from outside forces and agencies is very detrimental to this country. Very detrimental. Counties with significant influx of Ukrainian refugees to get financial help. Does that not sound like a bribe? Does that not sound like a bit of an incentive there, doesn't it? Both Tánaiste Leo Varadkar and Public Expenditure Minister Michael McGrath have said allocations will be made to a number of areas and local communities. You know what I mean? You know yourself. Rishi Sunak, how the US shaped Britain's new leader. Rishi Sunak points to his time in California, studying and working as a defining part of his life. That's great, isn't it? It's wonderful how these people all come full circle, isn't it? And of course, part of the forum as well. That's interesting, isn't it? Let's have a look at this. We might have a bit of a cleanser with a goofball here. We've got Jabba the Hutt here, as you can see. Look at it. Looks like Roz out of Monsters Inc. So anyway, let's have a look now because we give it a little bit of a palate cleanser. I always like to bring the lols to the stream and you and have people laugh at this because this is coming here next, by the way. And this is what social media has done. Because I'll just say this, right? Would you have put any sort of thought, care, or attention into someone that looks like this? This is why feminism has been a very detrimental thing for women, because it has given people like this here a platform, and what they used to do with these, what they are used to doing with these platforms is making outrageous statements and they're getting time and being listened to at likes, follows, and all that sort of stuff. And instead what's happening is the women that are out there that are like, want to live a traditional life and I want to make sure everything's good, are being shouted down and are being disrespected by people like this, being like, no, you should do this and do that. You're like, no, you're upsetting the course of history here now and you're causing an awful lot of problems. And it always is a very similar looking individual. I always say it. It's always a 2 out of 10, less even, older white woman that's engaging in this type of behavior because they're themselves very unhappy. And look at this. Right, so that's anyway a bit of music. They probably won't like that, they won't on the platform, but this is the type of stuff that you got going on here. You know, this individual, is that Madonna or something like that that's singing there, and this is what's being promoted. And this is why I said to you, the likes of TikTok there, TikTok is dangerous, and this is a company that is overseen by the Chinese Communist Party, and they have a very big hand in it, and that's what they are promoting. Now, if you follow me on Instagram at the Ninja Knight 44, what you will see generally on my stories are some of the posts that I make, but also some of the ladies that I do share. I have had a number of messages from the lads being like, nice one, Ninja, for the daily upload of the ladies on the story, because I'm showing them what the beautiful ladies look like and reminding them, hey, look at the beautiful lady that's over here that's promoting traditional values, and look at the goofball. The goofball is getting involved in all sorts of negativity, and the traditional lady knows what's up. Here is your goofball. Let's have a look at this. So this was recently shared by Satirical Soldier, and there's one specific frame that we'll get to now in a moment. Look at that. Look at that. And as I keep as I keep saying, these are the people that are calling you an istaphobe online. These are the people that are telling women that they should be doing whatever they want well into their 40s and then realizing, whoops, we haven't got a family, we don't know what to do. And now the cats are going to keep me company. Oh no, that's not really going to do it for me. And these people then, as a result, because they have no time being poured into children and possible grandchildren at that point in time, they then decide to go out and antagonize, annoy, and decide to irritate people that are like, hey, listen, you goofballs stay over there. And funny enough as well, too, I'm actually advocating for your freedom and your rights there. And you goofballs that are over there want me not to do that. You want to be under oppressive regimes. So there's a clear depiction. You know yourself. I know some people in the chat, I can already see it in the chat insofar as I'm not even looking at the chat, but I know it's going to be said, and people are going to be like, possessed, man, possessed. And that's what's happened. These people have been corrupted. Their brains have been absolutely turned into mush, and they have been then pushed back in and told, listen, you have a voice. You have now a camera phone there, which is great. I think it's great because it's used both ways. This person thinks she's doing something great there by video, whoever's on the other side. But they're actually doing the Lord's work here when they're showing these individuals here on the other side, because it's never a beaut, like, do you know what I mean? And I've seen a lot of the women on our side of the fence here, and ain't none of them looking like this, you know what I mean? Ain't none of them looking like this. I've seen some of the guards on their side, and I'm like, listen, everyone's going well on this side of the fence. So that's a very visceral and very much so stark contrast between the people that are on our side and on theirs. And this is another banger of a thing that happened as well, and this is becoming more and more frequent now. To me, I'm like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be when people start to ask very serious questions? I thought Bieber was it. I was like, definitely, this is it now. I was rubbing my hands. This is great. Bieber is going to be the one that's going to wake a lot of people up. Nah, just cancel the tours and he's going to be in trouble now forevermore. I might go off the scene. I was like, nuts. Who's going to pull that? Right, we're going to have to wait and see who's going to be next anyway. Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried, nah, not a big enough names. Let's see who's next up. But have a look at this woman. This is Katy Perry. And people thought that this was a work or a bit, like a bit of a joke, but it's definitely not. Focus on her right eye, wait and you see it. Because I was looking at this initially and I was like, what's she wearing? And is it something here? Like, I thought it was a nail ding-a-ling or something like that going on, you know? Kind of like what Lady Gaga was doing. That's also why I won't be supporting Joker Part 2, because it has Lady Gaga in it. I ain't going to be supporting that.
Make even more noise for my band.
What was that about? Now, there's two trains of thought when it comes to this. She doesn't look well when it initiates and when it starts. And especially this phase here, it's like it's something's going on. But the fact that she's still standing and then that ends up happening, this to me is possibly something. And I mean, only I suppose Russell Brand could probably get more into this here. Well, I mean, he already did, didn't he? But anyway, so anyway, he will get into it a little bit more and say, all right, is this normalizing this sort of stuff? Because that's what they're trying to do now. They're trying to tell you that braking too hard at lights or running too fast or footballers just keeling over is totally normal. You know, that's what they're saying. And is this part of it? Like, is this a bit to try and show, hey, this is totally normal? Or is it genuine? I think it's genuine with the way she reacts, because to me, this woman is a performer, but she's not a good actress. So to me, there's definitely a couple of movements. I'm not a body language expert or anything like that, but certainly when I see the arm going to and fro in the ways it is, I'm like, that's not acting. That seems real to me. I did that video as well too, a woman in Canada, and I seen someone. I think it was someone that was upset about the Hawkman video that I did, and on the other video with the Canadian woman was like, "You can hear you sniggering at this woman. That's the type of person you are." And I said, "I'm still laughing." This is what happens with these people. They're getting struck out. You think you're going to shame me. You think that you're going to try and get me to back off. I ain't going that way. I am just pressing forward, and I don't mind. That was it to me now. When that hand flicks up and flicks back, it's like, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? That's not acting in my view. That seems serious to me. Anyway, I've never known, again, someone that's in here that might be a medical practitioner or whatever like that, or have some experience. I've never known for your eye to shut like that and for you to just press your side of your face and for the eye to open back, to open itself. My God, Ninja. Get a grip of yourself. It's turning into Joe across America. Anyway, this is very peculiar. Is it normalising it? Did the show rock on after that? As far as I know, it did. I don't think she was brought off or anything like that. But this was something that was brought up before. This woman did face plant on a stage beforehand, but that was to do with something that she had not been set up with beforehand, which was a cake that she thought was going to be made of something like rubber or something like that, and it wasn't. It was made of wood. So this isn't the first time she's had a stage incident here, but I would say that the previous incident isn't related to this whatsoever. I think this is a new thing. So I would like to know, again, as I said beforehand, I think we should know the status of this person. It's like, well, have you taken anything there, or what's the story with that? This is a good one here from, I seen this one during the week. I thought this was brilliant. People who still think voting makes any difference, and then me. Exclusive. Got your tongue. The flu caused debilitating lesions that left 60-year-old woman unable to eat for months. So there you go. Whilst they're paying $1 billion to come into the country here, this is what's happening here, and they're all looking the other way, you know. And that's not just any Mickey Mouse place, by the way. That's dailymail.com. That's not just somewhere. And that's also what the other people do. Give us the reliable source and that. They're not posting these things on CNN. Like, they're not posting these things here on the news stations that you're talking about, like RT or anything like that. Well, then it's not a credible source. You understand that these places can't go against the official narrative, though, don't you? Oh, you wear the tinfoil hat. Okay, I'm starting to think like other people here now, and what has been said by other people is just take more. So, you know, keep going. Not medical advice, I'm not giving you medical advice when it comes to anything like that, you know. This was another one that was shown. Clouds as an adult, Clouds as a child. Keep an eye on that, by the way. That's making a big comeback, and not only that, then people are starting to look up and take pictures and videos. I seen one there yesterday, and the stream was going right across the sky, and it was like, it's the end of October here, and that is very, very much so visible, and everyone else ain't looking at this. Crazy. Just as we were talking about earlier on there, this stops transmission. Anybody who denies that, show me your signs. 27th of October 2021. Source, the Irish Times. There you go, proven wrong. The company themselves came out and admitted, they were like, oh, we didn't say it stopped transmission. Okay, so you did. So you're actually misinformation. You're disinformation then as well. When's the Garda investigation started? Because you wanted to call me misinformation. You know what I mean? And that's what you wanted to do. So, you know, that's where you're at. That's where you're at, dude. Smash Balls says, do not be deceived. So you have this here, Thomas Horrocks, people who use effeminate pejoratively are misogynists. Do not be deceived. The effeminate do not inherit the kingdom of God. 1 Corinthians 6:9-10. There you go. You've got Martin Conway says, great to catch up with Roland Glynn at the Ireland event on the importance of new Voldemorts and the massive potential new Voldemort developments can have on public health going forward. Roland's work as our deputy CMO during the scam will never be forgotten. You're right, it won't be forgotten. Absolutely, it won't be. And nor will you, because you were another one that was posting out nonsense there and you wanted people not to be going to places because you didn't think it was good. Taken away too soon. Northborough teenager suddenly gone at 16. Teenager goes suddenly after taking unwell at property in Inverness. Rep Sean Castan says, my daughter passed in her sleep. Young rugby player who gave his heart to the game passes suddenly aged 17. Wherever you ever heard this before. Family pay tribute after Honeywood school pupils sudden at 17. Young North Wales goalkeeper 16 gone suddenly in truly heartbreaking loss. One in a million Celtic fans 17 suddenly as tributes paid to beautiful teen. Community in shock after sudden of Derry Creek baseball player. Shock as young college student in the UK suddenly. So this is becoming more and more prominent, and it's becoming more and more evident as well. Now, Ireland issues new status yellow warning with gusts of 100 kilometers an hour possible. This is nonsense that you're living in. Be afraid of the weather, guys. Be afraid of the weather. Say the turf ban from next Monday, of course, because everything knows the world, the climate knows that next Monday is the D-Day. You know yourself. Amy Ryan says people with turf cutting rights will still be able to cut their own supply. Nonsense. Tracker variable and fixed rate mortgages. How will the latest European Central Bank rate hike affect you? This is the way they're going to go with it. This is absolutely the way that they're going to go with it. It's unbelievable what they're going to try and get away with. This is what they're moving towards now. They're wanting to go forward with more and more of these interest rates, and it's going to absolutely affect you. It's going to affect everybody you know, because it's going to lighten your wallet. It's going to lighten your bank account, and that's what they're foreseeing going forward. Inflation estimated to have hit 9.5% in October, according to the CSO. This is at the same time that they're telling people that they want them to take a 6.5% pay rise. So you're still losing then. You're still absolutely losing. So you're losing every which way. They want to put interest and higher interest on your house, on your mortgages, and at the same time they're taking more money out of your pocket there to pay back for something that they're absolutely 100% seems to be spoofing about. Homelessness record high of 10,975 people in emergency accommodation last month. Cart more people into the country, sure. Cervical check campaigner Lindsay Bennett passes age 34. Rest in peace. That's what I said there. This is one that would be going on earlier on there. I was talking about there. Fair play to Bound of the Commies for that one. Nice shout out there, guys. Much appreciated. Then I seen this goofball here. Is this a parody? I was like, stay mad. She's like, mad about what? This movie success or your lack of it? I said, haha, this video has more views than your recent ones. So this person has 68.3 thousand subscribers. And this is what I do. This is what I do. I just go and laugh at these people. And then you go back and you look at this here and you go 338 views, 329 views, 328, and 334, I think that is there. That has 1.1k views, and outlier because it has this type of nonsense here, of course, that some of these people like to get involved with. But like I said, 68,000 subscribers, and is trying to talk to me about success when my video is over the 500 view mark. It is absolutely roasting you. And there I have an article on Bound in the Comics. Boom. Already sees this stuff worth 67,000 while on patrol in North Dublin. Bill O'Neill still at large. Former HSC boss Paul Reid to work with global consultancy firm EY. Former HSC chief executive Paul Reid will work with consulting firm EY next year after leaving the top job last month. So there you go. You have these guys moving into new positions and just slinking off elsewhere. Where's the investigation into him? Where's the investigation into where money's gone? And this guy as well too, former telecommunications deal, knew nothing about health here, but he's gone into a global consultancy role. See what I'm saying? The movements after the fact are more interesting than what has actually happened. Drew Cockton stars pay tribute as Dragon's Den businessman passed suddenly at 46. Here's another one. Henry Cavill there is back as Superman. Talked about that. Qualified traveller girl will find it hard to get a job because of her surname. I said not the appearance or the accent, of course. You know, it's nothing to do with it. And again, you have an absolute humdinger there now. You have the doll that talks about all sorts of nonsense there. This is one of the ones that I wanted to show you. So this comes from Aaron Butler. And this comes then from Louise Rose Ingrave, Substack.com. And Aaron says, I've continuously hoped over the past 14 months that I would not have to do this, but when the inquest for my brother's passing is being delayed, I am left with no choice. The company Johnson, what I should say, Jay, manufactured this one here that Roy took 5 days before he passed. We're ignoring the coroner's request for information and data about this. Only today, after the media stepped in with this article, did they acknowledge the request from the coroner. All we want is the truth. That is the least that Roy and his family and friends deserve. Please read and share this article. So that's the family now confirming that. You know what I mean? So again, you can't just keep looking away and looking the other way about this sort of stuff. It's happening, and it's very much so happening in front of your very eyes. Gardaí to face court over alleged assault of a 16-year-old. A Garda sergeant has been charged with the alleged assault and false imprisonment of a 16-year-old boy at a Dublin Garda station, the Sunday Independent can reveal. Now, allegedly within this here, it says it was over the wearing of a face mask. So I would assume, given the way things were gone, I would assume as to what happened there. Again, I wasn't there. I can't state what happened, but it would be interesting to see where this one goes for sure. Thousands of London protesters call for UK to rejoin EU. Useless, should say. Disgraced former Detective Garda John Spud Murphy gave character reference for Irish criminal in Australia. Disgraced former Garda Superintendent John Spud Murphy came to the aid of a Dubliner who fled to Australia while under investigation for a €50,000 seizure. What about the people involved in the last couple of years? No interest in that? No. Madness. Refugees sleep in airport. There's no CUS beds available. Send them home. Online archive of messages left at Civita mural expected to be accessible by 2023. This is the face that they use to promote acts, and certain acts at that. You know, obviously feel sorry for this lady, but what they used after the fact for what they did and what they are doing is totally reprehensible in my opinion. And this is what you've got now. So it says an awful lot. U2 singer Bono reveals his cousin Scott is actually his half brother. Oh, I tell you. Marjorie says years from now, people are going to say and discuss there was a time in America where legislators fought to do this, and do this by letting the men inside. History would not be kind, nor will God. That's the same in Ireland. It's the exact same here. Union protest school over teachers blocked attendance at teaching council meetings. I said, where's the union for Enoch though? Like, where are they for him? Where are the clergy for him? Where are the government TDs and local councillors? Where are they? Where are the politicians and all that for him? Nowhere to be seen. Phone and broadband blackouts could be a very real prospect in the winter. Comes amid fears of a tumultuous few months ahead. And I said, ha 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 ha. Because this is what they're trying to do. What they will try to do is try to stop all of this so that people can't do what we're doing right now, which is talk about it, so that they can control the narrative and try and not have conversation or dissent as such. We've got head of Hughes Syria office faces allegations of fraud and abuse. Numerous complaints made about Dr. Akjamel Magtimova. AP reports after whistleblower leak. So there you go. That's going on there within that organisation. More than 1,500 Chinese millionaires granted Irish residency through Golden Visa scheme. What we've been saying for a while. No surprises, I said there. You've got this then here as well too, which is questioning what's happening there. And that's last week's stuff there. So we're all caught up with what's happening now. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to jump off this portion of it. I'm going to say it out to the chat, jump into the chat, see how everything's going and how people are. And we will catch up with anybody that had added Ninja Night during the stream this evening. So thanks again to everybody that's watching live. Thanks to everyone as well that watched on the replay. You're very much so appreciated. And again, a huge shout out to the chat. And again, if you're someone that doesn't comment or anything like that, I very much so appreciate you even watching and listening to this little gonzo production that talks about what's happening here in Ireland and in the wider world. And of course, in the entertainment industry as well, too. I'm out there seeing a goofball there commenting there on my Instagram, being like, you can't afford a ticket to Black Adam. You're stupid, mate. Honest to God. Like, you are absolutely lacking there. Anyway, we'll jump into the chat here. We will and see how things are going. Let's see. People saying hello to each other. Yeah, Fernando Murkiw says they're saying Albanians are going to England. How can they be getting accommodated so many? And they're posting on TikTok that they're on the way over here. That's the aim of the game. Let's have a look here. Annie W says, love the stream, Ninja. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Klaus says, is it true about the Chinese cop shop in Cabestry? Yeah. Conzo Productions says, Ninja Nights, the Sheepdog puts out more actual news than any given Friday night that any MSM combined fact. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Kevin McMahon says, yeah, he likes going to Spain, has a good time. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Let's have a look through this here. Kevin McMahon says, Ninja Garrett was worth it. Look, people enjoy him, you know what I mean? But I don't think an awful lot of people are going to be going to smaller gigs or gigs that they can see. Like, I think it was a Bruce Springsteen, wasn't it, that was saying that he was going to do a gig here? Something like €120 for the ticket. And I was like, don't think anything's going to happen there, lads. Klaus says, Hazel was in the journal comment section yesterday defending the cop shop. I had to be her using a different name, says Klaus. Stop. Kevin McMahon says the international soccer hooligans put her up to the guards the other night. I hope the Gardaí did something about that and, put up a nice TikTok dance after that, Satirical soldier like St. George and Machete. Nice that. Thinks that's funny. Eric Madden says Ninja Stephen Kerr did a great job on that Stephen Screen Garda stuff. Yeah, he did, especially when he went up into the place and was like, and the funniest part about it, I thought that video was hilarious because when he went up and he was like, all right, lads, and the three of them are standing there, all fresh haircuts, of course, as well, too, when they were telling the barbers couldn't be open the cars and these people enforcing it. And they turned around and looked at him and they were like, what station are you from? And he was like, are you guards? And they went, are you not a guard? They were like, get out. And they just chased him down. Absolutely brilliant, Absolutely brilliant. That was one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. Inadvertently, Let's have a look here. Keep going down the comments. Satirical Soldier says, yeah, Eamon Ryan would be gluing himself to the Satirical Soldier says Eamon Ryan would be gluing himself to the road with the other climate change if he wasn't in politics. The thing is, the climate change stuff has ramped up now over the last week, especially with them attacking priceless works of art. Now, again, anything can happen there because if they're pre-warned or if they're involved or anything like that, it wouldn't surprise me as well too. And they're like, priceless painting. That priceless paint's probably hanging out somewhere on some islands. You know what I mean? That's probably not in the Louvre. It's probably not in where you're saying it is. You know what I mean? So to me, I'd say questionable stuff. But the fact that they're getting close enough to the place, and especially with the t-shirts that they're wearing, are they not? Is that not why security's at these places? Is what I'm saying. Anyway, it's all very convenient. Blue Graham one says Ninja Knight loves Luke Shaw. I absolutely cannot wait for the day till that fella leaves the club. I really can't. I'm very much so looking forward to it. And you get someone that'd be like, you got an assist last night. Yeah. Only 8 years, I think he has 4 of them. Club cards are bait and that the collection. Yeah, I'd agree with that one. Leon Curtis says last night in Super Value was just one checkout open and carried on. Your father there with his 2 kids and me kicked up. They had to open another cash checkout or another checkout to accept cash. Have to speak up. You do. You 100% have to do it. You have to keep talking and then saying to them like, hey, look, that your job's under try here. Another place as well too this is happening as well is the electric meters as well too that are going in. Like if anybody's known about that, just put your wire to it. They're putting in smart meters now, and what they are going to do is they're going to do away with jobs. So the fellas that come out there to read the meter, those fellas' jobs are gone. So what's going to happen is going to be one fella just driving by, and he's going to be able to scan from the van. He's not even going to be having to get out of the thing because they're all putting her under the guise of, it's easier for everyone involved. But the estimates might have worked out better for some people because you'll see them if you're being charged and everything. Now, you'll see how it goes from there, And to me, and when it happens with these smart devices, the smart devices are good for you, but not also good for you because if you decide to use them and it's benefiting the company are going to do all sorts to make sure that they get their money's worth out of it. Shane Lynham says, no way, we need people who put Ireland first. We do indeed. You absolutely do need that. Let's have a look through the chat now. Keep going. Manic Miner says, Ireland is lovely. I've been there. Imagine they want to turn it into a shithole. Absolutely. That's exactly what they want to do. It's look, when I walk around the likes of O'Connell Street now, Dublin City Centre, it's not the place I knew when I was growing up, and it's getting worse. It's dilapidated, it's dirty, it's disgusting, and the heart and soul of the place, the tradition and the culture in it is gone, and it's gone. SGD says Martha Vineyard's crowd were hypocrites, 100%. Shane Lunham says shipping to South Dublin, 100%. Yeah, I would definitely think that'd be a good idea. Let's keep going here in the chat. Great to see other people as well too, communicating with each other. Mel Toten says, spoke to an Eastern European guy yesterday, told me his friend passed after the Voldemort, said he wouldn't touch it. This is an awful lot of people that I know that are Eastern European were the same. They were like, not going near that with a 10-foot barge pole. That's not exactly what they said. They said it in more broken English, to be fair. They were like, no touch. You're like, why? And they're like, I no trust. And I said, okay, yeah, that's grand. And I said, I wouldn't trust them either. And it's like, anytime I ask people that, or decide, do you trust the government? And they're like, no. And I'm like, but you trusted them on that? And they're like, yeah. Weird. That's a weird thing to do. Lord Tot says, huh. Good to see you here, Lord Tot. Let's keep going here. Saints and Scholars is in. Says in the chat. Says hello. Good to see you here. Sheepdog says, nice cans to be fair, Ninja Knight. Although always saying they're already open. Lol. Who's that there? Hang on in the chat there. Says, Catching on says she is winking. It's an act. Mel Taunton says, I think it's a gimmick too. Sheepdog. They're talking about Katy Perry. Stephen Ronan, what did Gaga do? Why Ninja doesn't like her? Gaga vehemently supported Joe and made a very distasteful video, in my view, as well too, with the way she spoke towards Americans. She was like, "You vote for Joe, or you're not American," and it was like just disgraceful. You know what I mean? And to me, that's another thing that I'm just looking at Hollywood now. I'm like, I'm not funding that. Not interested in that at all whatsoever. Stephen Ronan says, I think it's a gadget, Ninja. Ninja, it's an act, bro. Says Catching on Conan. Very possible. Armchair Limerick Nationalist says, I heard her eyelash got stuck. Weird though, isn't it? You know, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen or it can't happen. It's very possible. Let's have a look through the chat there. But it's very strange that happened. I would love to see Russell Brand cover it though, you know. That'd be an interesting video to say the very least. He should know. Let's keep going here. We're nearly caught up here. Fernando Murkiv says, my internet keeps knocking off now. You're not the first person to say that to me. A lot of people have been saying about the Wi-Fi, the internet being slow and not being good. But the likes of the data centers as well too, they're driving and taking a lot of power too. It's all been given towards them. Circus Hodge says, thanks, Ninja. Alan G says, watching live from Greece. Keep up your good work, bro. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Lee Hughes says, fair play, Ninja. God bless, man. Part of a 101-4 says, Iho what? Or Tot gives me the old Spock sign. Thanks very much, dude. Imelda Houghton says, long fault. Says Slán there again. T says Ninja. He's in there. Phenomenal Murky says Tron tomato soup beans and they're wrecking rounds 9 on the ground. Sheepdog says I think all the climate stuff is staged hand in hand. Yeah, definitely Sheepdog. The climate stuff is absolutely 100% up there with nonsense. Catching on cons to smart meters with Bluetooth. She said we refused the meter. I can see why. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people as well too telling me that they wanted to revert back to the old meter. They were saying that if they keep the old meter, that's the important thing to do, because what they will do is they'll try and take it away and try and throw it away. And if you keep the old meter, then you still have it. You can say, well, reinstall that there. Or if you can say, I suppose, I'm not giving out legal advice here or anything like that, but I would imagine that if you were like the homeowner or something like that and someone else, or, you know, someone else okayed it, you could go, here, hang on, I never okayed that there. That's not work that was sanctioned by me. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, I'm just spitballing here when it comes to that. Noila Harris says, Ninja, have you seen the story of Pelosi husband? Yep, I've seen that one. I saw the Crackers covering that, which is good, you know. Catching Con says, okay, be seeing you. Noila Harris says, it's a weird one. Yep. Sheepdog says, no, show me your fucking money. I saw Bob Geldof would say, reclaim it. Stephen Ron says, most of the only shores people you see in town are addicts, or rest of them are non-EU countries. Yep. Fight for Air says, guards are all over O'Connell Street tonight. That's interesting. Very interesting to hear that. Good to see them actually doing a bit of work. And especially, and this is the thing, I fully support them doing that. I fully support them being on the beat. I fully support them being around town and showing a presence. Because if you're, just say for example, if you're a tourist coming into this country, which Ireland is going to have, it's going to have that in Dublin, being the capital city and being a place of significant historical events having happened in Ireland. Like, why wouldn't people come here to visit? But what must they think when they come here and they look around? I know that I thought it the last time I was in New York, or I was like, what a dump. Like, this is absolutely awful. And my want for going back there is nil. I wouldn't have any interest in going back. So, like, how many people are coming across here that are people with money and people that would pass on good word are coming across and being like, more or less like Calcutta over there, placing ribbons. You know what I mean? Unless you're heading out to Dockyer or Marnock, where the prices are extortionate anyway, and you're going, sure, look, this is a beach, or a harbour is a harbour. You know what I mean? how many of them are going home and saying to other people, look, you're better off not going. So that's also going to have an effect, I think. And then obviously as well too, when nothing's been done. I know as well Niall Boylan had a good statement out there not a week or two ago, and he was saying the Garda that wanted to remain anonymous was saying that there's people that have been picked up in town, for example, and they're back out on the street within 90 minutes. And he said they're just basically respawning. And it's like Grand Theft Auto. He said they're just back out. So, like, I get that from the Garda's point of view when they're going, well, if we bring this person in and I go through the paperwork and all the wherewithal and everything that happens with it, and in 90 minutes, this person's going to be back out, so that's waste time. But you need to be backed in that position. Instead, the Justice Minister is more interested in people saying naughty things, which actually has no bearing on anything. And in fact, what it is going to do is it's going to lead then to people getting more and more aggravated. Because if we had a free speech society and things were as they are, and you should be saying what you want and you're saying it as you want, like people can make up their own mind then. But when you decide to say, no, you can't say that, but these other people can do and say this, you're going to have a disjointed society and you're going to have a very, I would say, division-orientated society rather than one. But that's the point. The point is to have people at each other rather than looking at the government, because that's what I keep saying to people. It's like all these people coming into the country and I'm like, yeah, but they're walking through an open door. And who is holding the door open? Not you or me. It's the government. And that's waking a lot of people up too, where they're going, oh yeah. And I'm saying, the person that's walking through the front door is like any other individual. If the front door is opened, they'll walk through and they go, sure, I'll have a look. And if I don't like it, I'll just go. And if I do like it, I'll just hang around. But the important thing is who opens the door and who is keeping the door opened. That's the important thing. You know what I'm saying? Very simple. So anyway, Sheepdog's management decided where the guards go in the night. Blame your average guard is the actions of, yeah, that's the thing. Like the average guard have been told what to do, but I think more and more of them need to be speaking up and they need to be saying, listen, this is going wrong here. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure that they're seeing the writing on the wall too, and there's enough of those people that are working in those jobs that are looking at their money being devalued and looking at their own family and looking at it and going, they won't be able to afford anywhere to go. And they, they understand. So to me, I think it's coming to that point in time where I think obviously over the last couple of years, they got people with the flu, but I think what's happening now is people are looking at the housing situation and going, hang on here, there's 10,000 people out in the street. You're opening the Aviva, Croke Park and various other places, barracks as well too for people that are not from this country, but that energy wasn't being shown at all for Irish homeless and still isn't. There's people actually jumping the queue in front of these people that are not from this country. What's the story with that? And they're right to be asking those questions. You're absolutely correct to be asking those questions. So anyway, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it there. I've been saying it over the last couple of weeks. I wanted to be getting in at the 2-hour mark on the streams to keep them interesting and to keep them knowledgeable. And so I'm not faffing on too much or anything like that. And so that you guys can have a good Friday evening as well too. Enjoy your weekend. Look after yourselves. God bless. And I'll talk to you soon. Good luck.